Welcome to the Crystal Zinn podcast. I believe our bodies are a living map of the entire universe. All the answers reside within. Remember, you are sovereign, whole, and infinitely valuable. And the best gift we can give to the world is our own healing. Join me as we explore holistic tools, spiritual practices, and paradigms that are shifting the way people experience life, business, and relationships. I love to share education on the most recent medical research and cutting-edge technology on anatomy, neurology, trauma, development, and more to give us a foundation in understanding how to align, utilize, and upregulate our physical systems. Ultimately, this podcast is a witness and support to people on their journey of remembering, an inspiration for all of us to keep going, and a reminder that we are not alone. A good combo. Welcome to the Crystal Zinn podcast. Today I have an amazing new friend of mine, Stephanie Rodriguez, with me today. So welcome, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm so excited to be chatting with you today.
So Stephanie has some expertise in a couple different spiritual areas. She runs retreats. She does Akashic Records sessions. And I know I've had a lot of questions about that. I know me, myself, have had questions, and listeners and friends have had questions. So I'm really excited to dive into that. And what I do at the beginning of my podcast always is just tune in. So anyone listening and ourselves can clear whatever's going on first, and we bring out such beautiful conversation after that. So if you're willing, let's just go ahead right away and close your eyes. All of my listeners, take a pause wherever you are and breathe into your belly. No need to change anything. On your next breath, breathe into all of your internal organs. See if you can feel your lungs, your liver, your heart, your intestines. And lean into the silence. Notice what it feels like when there is a little bit of silence. And notice the vibration around and within your body. And then just move any of that energy around, within, without. Taking a deep breath in through the nose. Maybe putting your hand on your heart and taking a sigh with your next exhale. Inhaling through the nose, tapping your chest or pressing on the heart center, sigh. And then in your mind or out loud, just say to yourself, hey, I'm here. Hey, I got you. Repeating hey as many times as you need. And each time being a new witness or new seeing of yourself. If you need more, you're welcome to pause the video and breathe a few more times. Otherwise, we will come back together with just a deep breath. When you blink your eyes open, new eyes, new colors, new vibration. Notice the reset.
I love it.
I'm wondering how you would introduce yourself. Me and Stephanie have actually been in a mastermind together these last couple months, where we've been revisiting, rewriting, remembering so many things about ourselves. And we've gotten, at least for me, to know ourselves and know each other in such an interesting space where we know these deep things about each other first and don't really know a lot about the superficial.
That's kind kind of backwards.
Yeah. So will you intro what you would like to say about you? Maybe a little bit about your story?
My name is Stephanie. I'm an Akashic Record practitioner, teacher, and spiritual mentor for women on their awakening and remembering path. So helping with identity shifts and, transformational things in their life. And I heavily use the Akashic Records as a tool to help bring clarity, healing, guidance, and support.
That's really cool. How did you get into that? Like, did you have this gift your whole life?
Yeah, so I've had this gift since I was a kid. I always had a sensitivity to the spirit world, is what I would call it. So I slept with my mom up until my adult life because I would feel and sense spirit all the time. And my gifts just were really strong, especially when people would pass away in my family. I would feel them as they were transitioning. I would have really intense dreams where it's not the type of dream where you're just like dreaming about them. It was like they were coming with a message. It was felt really real. And I would just know certain things and I would tell my mom. And it wasn't until probably around 16 where I started getting it started to be fearful for me to have these experiences. So I shut it down and I totally avoided it and didn't want anything to do with any of it. And it wasn't until my adult life when I became a stay-at-home mom and I wasn't working for a long time and I knew I wanted to get back into something, right? And I just remember, it's just so random. I woke up one morning and I was like, I think I want to be a psychic. So I told my husband, just totally randomly. It just was like this knowing. And so I just started exploring, mediumship and trying to understand the spirit world and face my fears a little bit. So I started booking like mediumship readings with people and just really trying to discover myself. And when I started doing that, the dreams started coming back. The visitation dreams started coming back. My connection to spirit and just, being woken up and knowing information, it started to come back online. And this is when the Akashic Records found me. I didn't even know what the Akashic Records were. I just found someone online and she seemed very authentic and real and started talking about the records. And I just signed up for the course, not knowing exactly what it was. I didn't have any intention to do this for business. It was just something that my soul knew to do. And as soon as I started learning the Akashic Records, it really taught me to understand my mediumship abilities. And it really taught me a lot about myself in a way that I have been seeking for since a kid. It brought so much clarity to my heart. And then doing readings for other people and giving them the clarity and the support that they need, it just took off. It just took off. And so that's how I got where I am.
Wow, that is so cool. I love how quick you are to trust those instincts, follow your intuition, and just move down the path when that happens. I feel like a lot of times we'll get an inkling or an omen for years and then follow it. So that's really cool how quickly those things take off. And I can see why it would be really, magnetic to be able to get readings and things like that help guide us and give us some answers and just some, guidance, I guess, and support in our lives. So I think the biggest question I even still have, even though I have some experience with the Akashic Records, is I've never heard it defined in a way that makes me feel like I completely understand it. So could you give us your definition of what are the Akashic Records?
So the Akashic Records I always tell people is a tool that we can use to understand our soul better. So I often refer to it as like a Google search for your soul. So from the time your soul was ever created from God, source, creator, whatever title you want to give that, you have a recording of your soul's journey through the infinite. So the Akashic record is basically recording all of your experiences from the past, the present, and the future. So when we open your Akashic records, we're able to understand your soul's journey. So everything that you want to know about yourself is recorded in this infinite space. Sometimes people refer to it as the book of life. So you can even look at it as like the book of your soul. So if you're having, issues in your relationships, your marriage, spiritual gifts you want to understand, just more about family, relationships, you can tune into this field and use it as a tool to help you understand your life better, you better, so that you can move in a way that gets you in alignment to your soul's destiny.
That's super cool. What is the difference between that and astrology then, when I feel like people can tap into like your human design or your astrology or gene keys for a similar reason? And I guess my question there is, those other tools seem very set, like you're moving from your K2 to your Rahu, or here is what happens, and this is the time in your life it's going to happen when the planets shift. Are the Akasha more flexible than that, like based on your creative choice, or are they also really set in stone?
Yeah. So for me, with the Akashic records, it depends what we're looking at, right? If we're going to compare it to astrology gives you a map, kind of, right? You're looking at certain points and transits and things, where the Akashic records gives you multiple pathways to get to a destination, right? So it really honors your free will, especially for future potential. So if you're wanting to create a successful business, you can open the Akashic records around your business, and you can get guidance and support to, get you to those next steps and levels to get there. But there could be many pathways to get there. So it's an infinite space and potential to look at.
That's so interesting. I suspected that. And so it feels good to have you say that. Can I tell you a story of one experience I had with them? And I'm not trained in it, and I haven't studied. That's why it kind of surprises me. I wonder if you could give me feedback.
Yeah.
So what happened this one time in a session was I was prompted, or whoever was there asked me to open those. And because I'm not trained and I didn't know a lot about it, it was sort of like, you walk into this new space and you're like, I'm not a master at navigating this. And so I'll just do my best to channel and be open and curious. But when we opened certain books on a shelf for her, and it was actually about her business, it actually asked us to call in a different version of her DNA. Like, we opened a book and it was like, this is what you're working with now. So you're trying to solve these problems basically from this mindset, but from this expression of your DNA. Like, you don't have what it takes. I don't know if that's the right term, but you don't have these genes expressing or these abilities online to reach the next level right now, or to get the answers to your questions right now. And so what the Akasha did, we were able to actually do, is call those things in for her. Like, she was open to that. Like, we maneuvered belief systems, things in her DNA, just vibrations that she was able to access. We changed that. And when I checked back in with her months later, not on purpose, we ran into each other. All of the questions she was asking and the things she was trying to put in place with her business, like she was trying to have these refugees sew her leather bags and things like that, and it had completely changed. Like, those weren't even the questions she was asking. She had gone a completely different direction in her business and with her family, and felt like that was aligned. And I just felt like a fly on the wall to an experience like that. And since then, I have been dying to ask someone like you to frame that up a little bit better for me, and kind of teach us a little bit about, you open an infinite realm of possibility. It is the book of life. It is your soul's journey. But could you maybe tell me what you think of that, or maybe illustrate a story, or tell me more about what that looks like.
Yeah. So one thing I will say, so the Akashic Records is endless. So you can get clarity, but you can also do healings, right? And one of those healings is DNA, right? So when you're becoming aware, like, we're opening a book and we're looking at, hey, maybe the book was a past life experience. Did it sound like it was something she experienced in a past life?
Actually, yes.
Yeah. So I just got the chills. So when she's opening this remembrance, what it is so I look at it as like our soul blueprint, right? And we only have awareness to so much. And so when we open up the Akashic Records and the records is showing her a memory, it's activating her DNA. It's allowing her remembrance to come online so she can move in alignment to her soul's dharma and path. So what it sounds like to me of what you're describing is a DNA activation. So her body didn't have remembrance to it, and because you guys pulled that book out, it came online. It what they're showing me in my third eye, because I have the records open right now, is and I'll explain who they are in a second, because people are like, who is that? So like a soul blueprint just reminds me like of, like an orb. And in the center of an orb, there's all these geometric symbols that are our soul. And some of it's not lit up. And so when we have memories, our soul keeps activating, like keeps brightening, keeps expanding, keeps remembering and coming online. That's what they're showing me in my third eye, is a DNA awakening. It's just awakening your soul's patterning is what I'm hearing. Who are they? This might, get off track, but do you want me to answer that?
Yes, I need to. I have a burning desire to know. This is so fascinating to me. Thank you.
So with the Akashic Records, we all have an Akashic Records. Every person, every living thing has a records. So your plant has an Akashic record, your crystal has an Akashic record, rocks have an Akashic record, your home, every living conscious thing has a record. And every record, so each one of us, you and I, we have our own guides, you can call them, but what they're known as masters, teachers, and loved ones. And so when you open up your particular Akashic Records, your guardians, your masters, teachers, and loved ones, they come through to give you guidance and support from your field. So depending the question you ask really depends on what guide steps forward. Right? So you can have masters like Buddha, or teachers like Jesus, or angels, or even loved ones on the other side come through, or a collective energy come through to answer the question that you're asking, or to assist you in the healing, just like your friend was doing that you guys were experiencing as you're opening up this record. The guardians of her records, obviously, like, it was time for her to access that information, because they're going to guard stuff to make sure that you're ready for it. And so they probably came through and gave her this information and assisted in the healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's really cool. For you, like when you were like, I'm going to come on this podcast and the records are open right now, what does that mean? Does that mean why would you open them for a podcast?
So I have them open every day.
Okay.
Mostly every day. And the reason why I opened it for the podcast is I always like to, like, if you're asking me a question too, I'm kind of listening to what they're saying. It's helping me, explain things as well. So like if you're asking me a question, especially like the DNA thing, it helps me. They're giving me the response. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So it's like you have support and you have connection during a time where you just want to give information correctly. My brain is thinking, like, what other times would we want to have these open? And is there another word for that for people? Like, when are some good ideas to have this, ask for this support to be online?
So this is why I always call the records a tool, because it's an everyday life tool. And I use it to get my work done, to ask like what I need to focus on. I use it to help me understand like how to help my kids, especially like if they're going through something. I can't open the records of my children just yet because they're not 18, but I can ask for guidance and support that serves the highest, like how can it help me? Like how can it help me, but it will in turn help them. I use it a lot for business stuff or making decisions. I use it especially for hosting retreats, right? And making sure, like I'm connecting with the records, like, do I want this person to come? How is this going to work? And connecting with the land. And they really help do like meditations, activations, healings. So it's so much more, as you can see. That's why it's so expansive. It's so much more than just getting answers. It's a transformational life tool that you can use in any and all areas of your life.
It sounds like it. That's so beautiful. Are there any downsides to having them open? Like, do you lose access to other things, or does it create some like chaotic feedback, and presence issues?
No, I will close it before I go to sleep, because if they're open when I'm sleeping, then it's or I'll set the intention to have them closed at a certain time. But because I'm attuned to the field and I've been working in them so long, I can bounce in and out, right? Like through my day, like drop in and receive guidance and then keep moving through my day. So it's not like I'm in like operating in this high realm and totally disconnected from earth. Although that can happen to some people, so you have to know what is good for you. But for me, because I've been in them for so long, I can bounce in and out and really tune in when I need to. So I have them open most days.
Wow, that's super cool. Okay, one other question in that regard. Are there rules and regulations and guidelines surrounding them? You just mentioned you can't open them until they're 18. So you wouldn't do an Akashic Records session on someone younger than 18?
Yeah, so it's just, as far, I'm sure there could be like exceptions to the rules, It's just something I was taught, because before they're 18, you want to give that person free will for you to access their information. And when they're younger, I just want to respect that boundary, especially for my kids too. And I can kind of tune in and get the guidance I need from in my own space. But I think it's just more of a respecting the boundary type of thing for me. You don't want to access the Akashic Records when you're on any type of, what word do I want to use? I guess drugs, alcohol, those type of things. You want to be going in when you're very clear here, And I don't mean clear like you can't have it, a problem you're working through a life and you can't access the records. I mean, like, if you're out partying all day and then the next day, like you're going to be kind of foggy going in. So I just always respect the Akashic Record space in that way and just really enter from that. There is an authentic Akashic record, but there also is false records too that people can enter. So it's important. Yeah, it's important. So like anyone we all have records. So a lot of times, and I'm getting this message for you, is you have been accessing the record since a child. And so oftentimes we don't even know we're accessing this space, because we all have, it's our birthright to be and know this information. So some of us already access this information and aren't aware. And then sometimes, anybody can access it, but then also times you can try to access it and it could also be a false imprint of the record. So you want to make sure too, like you're you're trained in a way that is, I don't want to say you always have to have a teacher to learn it, right? Like you can read a book, someone can read a book and learn to access it. It's just you want to make sure that you're accessing the correct field.
That was my next question. What are the resources for people apparently like me or other people who haven't been educated on it and don't realize what's happening, except for like having that experience and then being like, whoa, I really need to ask someone who knows this, what just happened? Like what are the best resources?
To learn it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me is to find a teacher. And and if that's not something you want, you can read a book and, pick up a book that way.
Is there like a lineage, like in Reiki, where we suggest like, here are the certain people or lineages or something like that?
No, I just think you have to find the right teacher that you feel connected to, right?
Okay.
Who you feel in your heart, because there's so many different teachers out there who teach it completely different. And you want to just make sure that you feel in alignment with the person and the teacher, and, ask the questions like, how long have they been teaching? How often are they using the records? You want to make sure that you're asking those questions before you take a course from someone, just because, like I said, the Akashic Records is accessible to anyone. And nowadays, information is at our fingertips. You can go on ChatGPT and be like, how do you open the records, right? So it's not that it's there. It's just you want to make sure that you are in discernment opening this space, and that you want to make sure you're working with the authentic records, your authentic guidance and support on the other side, that you're attuned correctly, and have somebody who's been doing it for a while really guide you, because you can access it, but it's so infinite that how you use it is the key. So that's why I always tell people, like, you can go in it. It's just you want to be taught how to be in it.
Like, yes, that makes so much sense.
Right?
Well, what is your specific gift and connection with it, and your method that I know that you do that's very, gifted?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest key, and I think this isn't just all spiritual work, is discernment. When I'm going into the records, is really being discerning. So making sure that my energy is clear. That doesn't mean that I'm not have to be in the happiest space in my like I'm just in the best mood ever, and but it's clearing my field and making sure that I'm showing up in a clear space to work in, and using discernment, working with the person. Another thing too, what I'm getting is, when we're working in the Akashic Records and we're giving love, guidance, and support, and the reason why I love to work in this space too is the records will only give you the information you're ready to hear and what the client is ready to know, right? So it's just, to me, it's just discernment, having a clear space, ritual that you practice. And really, when you're operating from that heart space and in that intentional space, that you're giving the correct guidance and support and information to the client. And I think that all has to do with clearing your field, being in discernment, and sharing from your heart from that space.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Would you be willing to answer like a personal question to me in my practice?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. When I guess I've been accessing them, but when I'm aware of it, since you said what comes through will only be what we're ready for, if something comes through, then does that mean it should always be shared?
I always ask. So there's always a back dialogue that I have with them. So like, as you and I are talking, and like sometimes I'll ask a question in the back, right? It's kind of like channeling in a sense. It's asking. So like, for instance, like I typically don't receive, and I don't really like to know like specific information about someone's like death or something coming up, right? And I've had that experience where someone asked me a question, and I knew in 4 months from them, like nothing like that was, they already knew it was coming, but they had given me the timeline, and I wasn't supposed to share that. So like, so when I got it, I'm asking like, is that something? No, this is just for you to understand. So I'm always making sure that I ask. Usually if they're asking a question and it's flowing out for me, it's usually I'll hear it. I guess this circles back is what I'm getting to it. When I hear something, so it's different for everyone, right? Like I hear information and some people might receive it intuitively, like a knowing in their body. And so when that knowing comes up, it's just important to double check, like if the information comes to you and you're feeling like, ooh, do I need to say this? Like you should just automatically check back in with your guidance. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for that tip.
Yeah.
Did you call it back checking? What did you call it?
It's like I'm communicating with them on the background, right? So like you and I are talking, right? You'll ask me a question and I'm, it's so weird because it's like multiple conversations. I'm checking in back, like, I don't know how to back end, kind of like the back end. I'm like, what do you want me to say here? And then it just starts coming in.
I love that though, because that's such a helpful tool. Even if somebody understands it just a little bit differently, you just gave me the gift of going, aha, I had forgotten. And now I'm remembering that you can ask, whether someone calls it their self energy, their guides, their intuition, the Akashic record. You can always be having that 2-point focus, or you can always take a moment and pause if something feels overwhelming or you don't know, and go check. And yes, that skill is such a beautiful gift. And I'm so glad you just offered that to us, to me. What a brilliant way to move through life regardless, and in so many different scenarios.
And I think it's all about intention too. So like, even if my records aren't open, right? It's your connection to your higher self, that higher mind that we all have, that beautiful essence of us. It's always with us. And so anytime you're receiving anything, it's always like, just check back in, like with that internal guidance, whether it's the records or it's your higher mind. It's like it's always there.
Thank you. Is there a story you could share, in confidentiality, of course, of something really cool that happened or was life-changing, or example of what maybe one of your clients got out of a session like this?
So on top of readings, I do, I use the records to do in between whole life regressions. So what that means is I regress you back into a past life memory, and you get to experience the whole life. So we kind of go through like this whole life review. And after the life review, we take you into the in-between realms, and you get to understand in those in-between spaces the contracts you made, why you chose that, why you're working, why is this person, connected to you, or you can understand why your soul chose certain things. So I had this client, and she came to me because in utero, her mom tried to commit suicide. And she remembers having a blackout moment in her mom's womb. And she knew that blackout moment, like she really, really wanted to experience what happened there. And so she came to me, and it was going to take a few sessions because it was more than just understanding the blackout period. We had to understand her relationship with her mom. And that was the key. And so we did a few past life regressions to understand the relationship and dynamic with the mom. And it was so cool because in those sessions, we would always it would always start in the womb, because this is really self-led. Like I'm holding the space and guiding the client, but they're having the experience, right? And it was always in the womb. And that blackout period that we were trying to get to, It wasn't time. And I'm going to tell you why it was the coolest thing. So our last session, we did a lot of work and understanding around the relationship with her mom. We cleared contracts, we cleared oaths, we cleared so much. And we got to this point, the blackout session, this is how time works, hadn't happened yet. So when I regressed her the last time, we were in the darkness. There was the blackout period. We went into the in-between realms, the angelic realm. And in that space, the angelic realm they started clearing so she was a baby. When she went into the realm, she was a baby. That it was when that happened, when her mom tried to harm herself, and she was her spirit in the womb went back into the angelic realm. And in that space, they started doing healing and DNA work on her to heal physical ailments that were happening because of it. And it was just she felt it on a physical level. So not only, I'm here holding the space and guiding her, but she's the one that is doing the work on herself. And she was having physical sensations. She was having remembrance, deep cellular healing from this whole entire experience. And the cool thing for me is time is just not a one-way thing. It's so multidimensional that the blackout period that she was searching for hadn't happened yet, because she was searching for it because her soul knew that this was meant to happen for her to heal it all. It blows my mind. Hopefully that makes sense as I'm explaining it, because it's such a profound, fascinating story, how she healed on a deep cellular level, and the blackout period hadn't happened yet. It was just, I don't know, mind-blowing.
Wow. Such as like in her life when she came to you now.
Yes.
It hadn't happened. And so she had to go access that, almost like a reclamation, like an experience waiting to happen over here. And when she came to you, she was able to enter that experience.
Yeah. So the blackout period, she remembered, like as a baby, like in her adult life, the reason why she forgot what happened in that blackout moment is because it hadn't happened yet. So when we regressed her, because it was she just knew like something happened there. It was because she had to remember it because we hadn't experienced it yet.
Almost like the butterfly effect.
Yes. And then it was all these physical sensations. And I ended the call and I was just like, what just happened? I mean, even in this work, I mean, I know we live this, but I am always still like shocked with these type of sessions. Like, this is magic. This is so crazy.
That's so cool. I thank you for sharing that. That's such a cool thing to ponder on in story. I have noticed that a long time ago in these practices where I've never been able to say, this wasn't for me. Like every session that has come, everything that's happened, it would be very true for me to say, that was just for me. I'm sure a byproduct is, I have amazing stories with my clients and things that have happened, and you do too. But I wonder if you would agree with that, is just that every single thing that crosses your path has always been so life expanding just for me too. That if that's all it was, I'm like infinitely grateful and in awe, kind of like what you're saying. These things happen and we're just like, whoa.
Yeah. And as much as it's like my clients' experience, and I always tell my clients this, and I'm sure you can relate, I learn so much from my clients. Like they are my teachers just as much as I'm doing the work. Like it's just this beautiful interactive back and forth thing that we get to experience and witness. And what a blessing, just that offering to me, even though it was her own experience of how time is so multidimensional. Like, we can go back to that inner child and have that conversation and give that inner child healing and love and support. And it really, changes so much. You being present and going back into those other timeline experiences, it heals and it changes the trajectory of someone's life path just by doing things like that. Yeah.
That's super cool. I'm wondering if there are pain points or places in people's life where you would suggest this may be the answer. Like if you're experiencing X, Y, and Z, this may be, a place that you need to think to look now. Like, what are those things?
Yeah. So, like, if someone's having like physical symptoms, yeah, yes, 1,000%. That is one of the things I help clients with a lot too. Like if they're having a pain in their shoulder, or even just like a broken foot, or maybe something that they're born with, right? We can use a regression. We can allow our consciousness to move to those pain points and help us understand like what is this teaching me? What is this showing me? And begin to heal it. However that looks for the person. I'm not saying, they can miraculously, change things, but I do believe people can.
So 100%. I mean, I've been to Joe Dispenza's stuff. I've seen that happen.
Yeah. It's just like this awareness, like when you become more aware of the thing, right? Like, so if you're like, let's just say someone has a knee injury or whatever, and we do like a regression, or we're, bringing awareness to, this pain sensation and what it's teaching us and what it's showing us, and we're understanding it on a multidimensional level. You have the awareness now to create change and shifts and in your belief system to make that actually possible, I feel like.
Yeah, that rings true to me. Have you ever dealt with anybody with like mental illness or depression and things that the Akashic Records have helped them sort of move through?
Yeah, for me, I haven't gotten a ton. There's two things that we can ponder on with that. I feel like with the records and working with somebody who's in, depression or experiencing something in their life, a lot of times clarity, is really what helps them feel better. It might not fix it if they choose to, but sometimes the clarity gives them the opportunity to create a shift or change, right? So like if they're asking questions and from their records, I'm giving them different things to look at or how to move this way or that way that is coming from their field, and it brings clarity and deep support, it shifts things for people. It brings them out of that like den space to move up and start choosing differently. But it all starts with a choice too, right? So, yeah.
That's really cool. I'm asking because, anxiety is so prevalent, addiction. I work in the addiction world. It's so prevalent. And one person I'm thinking of in particular that your answer of clarity was so beautiful for is that a lot of times when they're in, one person I work with, and when they're in, when we're trying to access different modalities of healing, which everything moves the needle a little bit, it's like you said, it's self-driven. When somebody feels called to this, it's usually driven by them, right? And there's a reason. So there's no pushing it on anyone, but it's like, what do you feel called to work with? A lot of the times that is their question. Like, I can't figure out why I'm feeling this way. I shouldn't be X, Y, and Z. My life experiences don't dictate what I'm going through, right? And so I think those questions, although it's not been my personal experience, what I see and hear when I'm listening to them is I'm hearing that it is this confusion that is adding a weight to whatever is going on that just makes it feel really heavy and impossible. And so I like that you brought up that point of clarity. Clarity's healing. Yeah, a way to put things in a perspective or make a story about something is healing in and of itself.
Yeah. No. And everyone's different when it comes to, depression and anxieties, and it really just depends on the person. But I really believe oftentimes we're so hard on ourselves, and our mind is so powerful. I mean, it's so powerful. And oftentimes when we get in a place of a low, it's hard to get our mind out of it, right? And there is no judgment in that. It's hard. And oftentimes when you and I don't always see it as like, oh, you need to see someone to. Sometimes people like you and I who do this, we can see the blind spots. It's easier to see blind spots sometimes for other people. And sometimes if you can get somebody to see those blind spots, because when you're in that deep lull and you're not able to see past the fog, sometimes if someone brings some clarity or just a little bit of hope or inspiration, it lifts their mind out of that fog so they feel more empowered, because their mind is going to take them to that next level, you know?
That's beautiful. Do you have time for 2 more questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So one is about your connection with the land. And I know when you run your retreats and things, where you hold them is very important. And I know you've even passed on cool insights and things that have come through for me that you've been picking up on as we've been in connection. And so can you talk a little bit about what is the significance of the land? Why is that significant?
The land, Mother Earth, Pachamama, is so healing. And when you can connect to that wisdom, especially so I'm going to use Mount Shasta as an example because that's where I go. I think it's really important when you're going to do work on a land or when you're going to spaces that you're really connecting to even the tribes that lived there before, to the space, because each part of like Mount Shasta, like everywhere you go is going to be kind of a different energy or an experience. So it's making sure that you're connecting to the guardians of the land, the energy lines of the land, asking permission, giving offerings, really honoring the sacredness of the space. And so that's how I love to work with the land and connect with the land, and really just tuning into it, especially like when you're going to a certain place, like why are we going there? What is the purpose of it? What is this going to help with? Or what are, just really communicating and connecting to the land beforehand of those certain things. Hopefully I'm answering your question. So for me, the land is super sacred because I work with it, meaning like, guide me here, or this, this is happening, show me the signs, or, being in communion with that on a respect level and making sure I'm honoring this space is really huge to me before going to host a retreat somewhere. Like I really am in integrity with the land first. Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. So like when I feel called to hold a retreat in a specific place or buy a house here or ride my horse there, or like when those things come true, it sounds like you're saying that is real. And also when we go to do that, be intentional and respectful with the land and things like that. So that is a real thing that's coming through.
Yeah. I mean, I even ask, like, even if I'm going to like take a plant or a rock, I always ask permission, right? Like, like, it's just walking sacredly with the land, because she's here to support us in so many different ways. And I feel like it's just this back and forth communication, and making sure, like when, like you said, like especially where you are, I'm sure there's a huge connection to you and the places that you go, and you create that bond with the land. And I'm sure your land offers you so much insights and healing and all these things. And so it's kind of like if someone were to come on your land that you didn't know and start picking stuff, and like there's that like protective guardianship awareness of the sacredness that you have with a space.
Wow, that's an interesting way to put it and think about it. I love that. I was told once by a shaman to always leave
Mhm.
something in token to the ancestors, or leave a gift, even if it's just some strands of your hair, if you don't have anything on you, whenever you do something sacred on a land, or like hold something, or like, yeah, something like that. And I've tried to abide by that, even though I didn't completely understand it. And so that's why I wanted to hear more about it from you, because it's so beautiful and it brings attention to something we're maybe not thinking about, and could either cause some just maybe less than optimal energy. Maybe there's more support and a more beautiful way to move that we're missing out on. And
Yeah.
at worst, do some damage when we're not respectful and intentional. So I love that learning.
Yeah. And I always look at it too, like on my retreats, I always give medicine bags with, things inside. So as we're going to the places, there's offerings to give. It helps us slow down too and really just honor. uh it's an honoring to ourselves too. I'm hearing like we are earth, the earth is us. It's just this beautiful honoring of life and just what life is giving us. It's just this reciprocity, I feel like.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I know I told you about my dream on the last call, but that's something I want to add in to teach the kids at camp.
Ooh.
So that would be so cool. This is the last question I like to ask. And since you have the records open, I'm so excited about this question, which is there anything else coming through for you, or something on your heart, something that feels important for this container to share for us at this space and time?
On this spiritual path, we can get lost and lose direction to where we're going in life. And as the Akashic Records is a tool, and as Reiki and in yoga and all these different modalities and healings, the person leading your destiny is always you. And to remember not to get lost in the modalities, in the healing, and to always remember to come back to that internal compass. Because when we're out seeking constantly and not following that internal compass, we can lose discernment, lose focus, get off path, get off track. And that's all perfect and great too. There's always lessons in that as well. But it's just a reminder that you are your own guru. You are the answer. And to always come back to you first.
Wow. Thank you for that. That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Huh, and so empowering.
I keep hearing to ask you this.
Sure.
Do you want to ask a question?
Let's see. What is that aligned, self guided soul purpose for me? Like, I just want to know. I feel so connected to you. I feel like your energy is so just pure and awesome. And I just feel like this excitement rising up in me every time I hear you talk. And I just want to ask for help. And that's hard for me, right? Where is that compass for me? Because that's what I've been sort of seeking. Do you see any blind spots? Do you see what like my gift is?
So there's a two-part answer to this. The first part
Great.
is where like maybe this life it's not supposed to be this thing, or that comes from past life experiences of, I don't want to call it a witch wound because it's not associated with a lifetime, where it comes from native, like being, let me get the words specifically. Your soul has a very indigenous history. And there have been instances in your past life where using those gifts didn't end well. And so there is a fear And it's not a fear of like, you can't, like, you're already out doing your thing. So the fear isn't like, oh my God, people are going to see me. It is a unconscious fear of fully showing the whole spectrum of what's inside because of past life. So it's definitely come from a past life is what I'm getting. What spirit wants me to share with you with all of this is it's not one specific gift. You are the totality of you are the gift. And everything you have to offer someone, oh my God, my hairs are standing up. You are the totality. You, Crystal, are the gift itself. And it's not one thing or another thing. You see the light in people that they can't see. And oftentimes, how you go about helping them remember or seeing the light is going to vary on the scale of what you're using. But Spirit wants you to open up your spectrum of all these things that you have in your toolbox and pull them out more often, because there's things that we have. They're showing me, it's so funny. They're showing me a stove and the back burner. There are things on the back burner that, Crystal, like, you have really great experiences using some of those tools on the back burner, but we often don't bring them out recently. I don't know if this is resonating at all, but they're just like, take the stuff from the back burner. You have the discernment, you have the skills to know when and where to use them, how to use them, but to really start to use them. Because if you think about it, they're saying if you're seeing the light and the totality of so many people, I mean, even on the call in our group thing, you see the light in all of us there and you bring that out. Imagine what that can do for so many other people. And how it's a ripple effect in the world and your corner of the world, and it will ripple out into so many things. So there's something, they're pointing to something specific, and I don't know the name for it. There is some type of modality or something you've learned or you self-taught it, something on the back burner that they're like, she needs to, I have the chills again. She needs to bring it back.
Yeah. Wow, that resonates so deeply, and I'm like, thank you and thank them and thank you for just being willing to say all of that and its power, because it's 1000% resonating. And I think the problem is, like in these places where we put ourselves, they're always trying to contain it and label it and and get the edges and package it and whatever, and that causes me so much just discomfort and inability to shrink it down and label it into something deliverable. And that's my biggest pain point, is I feel like the world is asking me for a deliverable, but what I see is like this light, and I see people in their highest potential. I see them from beginning to end. And it just feels like my magnetics life work to see people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's, yeah. And I keep hearing it tell you too, like, you have this ability. It's kind of like a remembrance from past lives where, like, how the word medicine woman comes up, and I don't want to use that lightly, obviously, but medicine woman, that comes up, that you can tap into energies that no one's taught you, right? And it just happens organically where you're like, I know I need to do this, this, and this. And they really want you to embrace that. There's something with that's already activated. It's like we were talking about before, how like their soul, like how your friend had that DNA awakening and remembrance. It's already activated in you. it's just like there's this remembrance of doing things from past life experiences that really come through. Yeah, it's coming in stronger as we're talking about it.
That is so cool. Thank you for that. Yes. Yeah. And I do think the thing that blocks me and holds me back from that the most is like the supposed to, created, what do other people think, this is how it's done in the world, you have to fit yourself in this saying or boxing or scripting or else you won't be able to do that skill. And what I hear you saying is it's already online. Do it, pull it off the back burner and lean into it, even though there's not a paradigm for it yet in this world. And that's why I can't put words to it. And it is a little scary to completely lean into that without a, what's the word, like thought form or map. I am the map. And that just feels so expansive and amazing and fun and scary, and you have got to learn the skill to bring it out of you.
Yeah, there is a wise woman deep within your heart that already knows, and it's just letting her lead, like letting her step forward fully, because you have so much wisdom and lived experiences. It's like, it's ready to just come out.
Let it all hang out is what you're going to say. Wow. Well, I hope that was also really fun and helpful for the listeners to watch me be vulnerable and get that inspiration, and to watch you really work in your gift. The couple times I've seen it when we've been in connection or on call, my jaw has just dropped, and that was the most intense one thus far. So thank you isn't even the right word. Just wow. Wahe Guru. I'm so glad we just had this experience, and thank you for asking. Will you tell us where people can find you and what you're up to right now?
Yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram at spirituallysteph or spirituallysteph.com. And I have most recently a women's Mount Shasta retreat in October, the 15th through the 19th, where we'll be staying for 5 days, 4 nights, and walking the sacred land of Mount Shasta and doing a lot of beautiful work and sacred remembrance and connecting to the land, but most importantly, to ourselves. Yeah.
Yes, that's so exciting. Well, thank you. I'll tag that all in the show notes, but thank you for being here doing that with me today.
Thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
It is fun. You're welcome. Thank you for listening. Connect with me on Instagram at Crystal Zinn Yoga. Subscribe on my website at crystalzinnyoga.com to receive tools and practices for your holistic journey, and to be the first to know about offerings, workshops, trainings, and retreats. We live in powerful times that require courage, bravery, compassion, authenticity, community, and grounding. You're not alone. Check out my free content, classes, and meditations on YouTube under Crystal Zinn Yoga, and have a beautiful day. Sat Nam.